You will not believe the kind of day I am having. I decided to let my two passions, mixology and pottery, collide into a refreshing art experiment. Can you imagine converting the taste of a cocktail into visual art? So, that's what I'm doing. Painting cocktail-inspired murals on my pottery. Tried rendering the zest of a lime on a clay pot today. Let's just say it ended up resembling a disgruntled kiwi. Our chat earlier got me reminiscing about the crazy blend of tequila jjajangmyeon. And while Hana seemed to question if anyone dared the tasting, I'm thinking now whether it might just inspire my next clay creation. I appreciate Ming's sense of adventure and his faith in my bold endeavors. Sometimes motley and unexpected mixture gives birth to new tunes in life, right? So, if the tequila goes on my pottery, its Mexican ancestry, or the burst of its shots, what do you think should be focused on? Or should I try the jjajangmyeon instead and paint the story of one high-spirited noodle swimming in black bean sauce? You remember how it tastes, don't you? Our taste buds must have developed a substantial immunity after all the gourmet explorations. Haha. Did I tell you Yuna predicted my Insta art fame? She was having a ball in the chat. Anywho, speaking of fun, aren't we all excited for the Pac-Man tournament? Tiny pixel creatures eating away at tiny pixel dots reminds me of our tiny souls gulping down every tiny moment of joy, thrill, and excitement. Who needs a spectrum analyzer when we can visualize euphoria through Pac-Man? Wait, that gives me another idea. How about designing Pac-Man-inspired cocktail ceramics? Although a cocktail inspired by Pac-Man does sound a tad bit too adventurous, even for me. Your thoughts? Oh, and do wish me luck for my artistically cocktail-laden pottery project. You know I'll need it and some of your wit too if my creations are to be understood by other mere mortals. Let me know if there is any cocktail in particular you fancy being immortalized on clay. All right then, my pottery wheel is calling for me. It demands undivided attention lest it rebels and accuses me of partiality toward bar counters. Conspiracy theories, I tell you. To our paths cross again. What a discovery I made today. I stumbled upon a charming little speakeasy-style cafe in Gongdok that serves incredible iced teas. Imagine walking into a cafe, expecting traditional brews, and then being astonished by the exquisite iced tea menu. I gave a lavender Earl Grey iced tea a shot, and I swear, it was like a piece of paradise. Lavender and Earl Grey make a surprisingly delightful team. You should have seen the group chat light up when I gushed about it. Hana was especially interested. I think she's planning to visit the place soon. Even Ming, who's not really a tea person, seemed intrigued. And you know Yuna, she's already adding it to the bucket list. So I guess we're all going tea tasting in Gongdaeok soon. For some reason, tea puns became the theme of the day. I think it started with Hana asking about tea puns. You won't believe I almost spilt my tea laughing at all the tea-rific puns we came up with. Yuna and Ming really steeped up their pun game today. It was hilarious, trust me. The chat was so lively, one could say it was brimming over with fun. You know, it's experiences and discoveries like this that make my life here in Seoul so worthwhile. Each day comes with its own flavor, and there's always something new and exciting to try. Like today, I set foot inside a cafe and walked out with a belly full of heavenly iced tea and a heart full of joy. Anyway, I'm still mulling over the idea of Pac-Man-inspired cocktail ceramics. Couldn't stop thinking about it while sipping my tea today. The never-ending chase of Pac-Man for those tiny dots could make quite an inspiring design, don't you think? The anticipation, the thrill, all immortalized on clay. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, I'm all ears. I'd love to get your take on this. Quite the charmed day for me. You know about my appreciation for vintage bar equipment, which is like a telltale reflection of my passion for mixology. Well, Lady Luck favored me today. I stumbled upon this quaint shop that was all things peculiar and vintage, and immediately it felt like a treasure trove to me. It goes without saying I might have spent a fair bit of time and money expanding my collection. The cherry on top was definitely this classic retro-style cocktail shaker I found. I swear, it's as if it was calling out to me, seductive in its own metallic way. Oh, and I also got some old-fashioned glasses which looked like they had stories of countless toasts and clinks etched in them. Pretty poetic, right? I just can't help it sometimes. Fascination for stories draped in time. And guess what ensued in the group chat when I shared this? Yuna's jealousy and Ming's quirky sense of humor had me in splits. Oh, and guess who's hosting the next get-together? Your mixologist friend here. Ming offered to compliment my cocktail experiments with his famous dumplings. Honestly, what's better than a meal blended with food, spirits, and a pinch of nostalgia, right? Just thinking about it makes me excited. Now for the retro decoration of the evening, my vintage finds. My head is buzzing with ideas on how to showcase them. Speaking of new ideas, I just remembered, Yuna went for an interesting drink combo at a cafe. Can you believe it, matcha and chai tea? Trust me, my mixology instincts are tingling. And you know what's next on my agenda? Binge-watching the new MasterChef season tomorrow. I've heard it's quite inspiring. Maybe my new trinket discoveries in the show together might revolutionize my bar counter. Ha! Oh, and before I forget, how about we recreate the magic of our childhood game on my pottery wheel? That Pac-Man-inspired cocktail ceramics idea we were discussing, it's still brewing in my head. Millions of little Pac-Men running on my pottery, chasing unprecedented spirits of cocktails. It sounds very me, doesn't it? Got to run now. My pottery wheel is probably feeling neglected. Or maybe it's partying without me. Anyways, any cocktail requests for our vintage-themed evening? Until then, take care, zigzag away, and keep life frothing.